Hey there, radio nerds. So I wanted to do another video here because the first video was getting a lot of comments, a lot of questions, and that's great. I want to just try to inspire a new generation to take up the radio hobby, and I definitely love to see more radio folks. I said see more radio folks. Hear more radio folks out there doing this. So and the ham operators are pretty much killing it. So I figure we got to step up our game a little bit and show the next generation what this can actually do and what it looks like when it works right and everything. So you guys definitely keep the comments coming, keep everything going here, and if there's anything that you want me to cover in a video, it's really hard for me to come up with like stuff to cover. I don't know what you guys want to see. So this one here is another subject that is going to be not covered anywhere else, and I'd argue that if you went to actual like Kenwood radio dealers, only a select few would actually know how to do what I'm about to show you that these radios can do. So we're going to keep it on the cheap here. We're going to go with the TK880. Certain features of this may vary. Now, if you have another radio, whatever it is, pretty much as long as it has a screen on it, where it's alphanumeric, not just like channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, handheld, it could be even up to the digital ones. These radios will all work with this. However, what I'm going to show you on the computer here is going to be in different places, so it's going to have different basically the menus will be different, the software will be different, so you may have to kind of hunt around. But once you find it, the information that I'm going to give you in here, you just plug your information in where I'm plugging it in, and it'll start to make sense when you see it. So all right, what we're talking about is we're going to activate the modem that's built into these radios, and the proprietary software that Kenwood uses for that is called Fleetsync. Okay, Fleetsync. So we're going to Fleetsync these radios. Again, I just kind of came up with this because assuming that if you're building a repeater, you have at least 2 other radios to talk to. So why not have a Fleetsync with 2 radios or more radios? And we'll go into how many these things go. Now, as I was saying, that the actual your results may vary. If you have like this is a version 2, so there's certain features that the version 2 will do that if you have, let's say, a version 1 TK880, it won't do. But most of it, there'll be some, you'll get some functionality out of it. It may not be exactly what the 2.0 will do, but it'll still function, and you can still use it on your fleet. So we're not going to need any screwdrivers or solder guns or anything crazy for this activity. All we're going to need is a programming cable and a copy of the whatever software or radio you're running for the software. In this case, I'm using a TK880, so I'm going to load the KPG 49D. Okay. Now this radio, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it says unprogrammed on it because it is blank. So it looks like it's set up for trunking. We're going to flip this to conventional. This will work in trunking too, but probably not using a trunking system for your Kenwood if you're doing that. So we're going to click OK. We want to clear all data, and we have this screen here. It moves a little closer so you can see what I see. Okay, so from the first video we did there, I said whenever you go and you program a Kenwood radio, the first thing you want to do is what? Anybody remember this? Off hook decode. Okay, off hook decode. So we're going to go up here to edit. We're going to go to, we need to go to optional features. And then right here, off hook decode. This is going to give you results that you don't want, and it's going to drive you crazy. You're not going to figure out why. If you click that off hook decode, you'll have to not put money in the swear jar, and it'll be great. So off hook decode, always click it. Go ahead and close out of that. I just want to make that clear. Whenever you get on a Kenwood TK880, click the off hook decode. All right, so let's go ahead and just put your frequency in there, whatever frequency that your repeater's on, or that you, if you're using simplex, whatever it is, just go ahead and put it in. So for me, forgot what we used for the last one, but we're gonna just do FRS channel 1 just because I know that off the top of my head. So we're gonna have a receive frequency of 462.5625, and our transmit frequency is going to be 462.5625. Okay. I'm not gonna bother putting in a tone. If you guys want to put in a tone, just tell me the frequency's out of range. I might have formatted this wrong. Let me just take a look here, and I did. My bad. Let me just do this again. All right, take 2. Here we go. So we're gonna go back up here. We're gonna go to optional features. We're gonna go to off hook decode, which is still selected. That's great. Let's put in our frequency here. So 462.5625. That's what happens when you make videos in the middle of the night. You forget little things like this. And 462.5625. Not going to put in a tone. Again, if you have a repeater on here and it's transmit is going to be 467.46, go ahead and put in your actual info for your repeater. Feel free to. I'm not putting this on a repeater. This is just for demonstration. I'm going to put this channel name as testing. Your wide, your high, and all that stuff. Go ahead and do that. And once you get that in there, we're gonna go up here to edit, and you see a thing in here called Fleetsync. So go ahead and go to Fleetsync. All right, now if you got Fleetsync open, what we're gonna do is you have what's called Fleet and its own, and ID own. That is this radio. What we're going to do now is we're going to identify this specific radio from every other radio that's out there. Now, here's where you got to put your engineering hat on. Here's where you got to kind of figure it out for yourself exactly what you want to do. I'm giving you the keys to the wood shop. It's up to you whether you make a cupboard or a sink or whatever else you can make out of wood. You want to build a shed. That's going to be up to you. So I'm going to give you the tools. You're going to do the thinking on it. So what the fleet is it's a fleet ID. So let's say you're in the city of Bumsville, and Bumsville has one repeater. That one repeater has the fire department, the police department, the fire trucks, the dump trucks, the farmers, I don't know, the people who mow the lawns, meter maids, they're all on the same frequency. You have to ID who they are. This is where you do that. So you could make the fire trucks Fleet 100, like that, if you can see that. Maybe the police are going to be Fleet 101, and 102 is someone else, and 103 is someone else, and yada, yada, yada. I just went down. I realized that. Let me get rid of that. So whatever fleet, however you want to identify your fleet. If you're a personal, you can maybe have Fleet 100 as your mobiles. Your handhelds could be Fleet 200. This goes to, I think, $399, $349. I'm sorry. So you can, from between 100 and 349. That is how many different fleets you can have. Now you see where it says ID. This fills it in automatically as 1,000. They start at 1,000, and then you go 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, all the way up to, I believe it's I thought it was 4,999. It is. There you go. So you start at 1,000, and you can go up to 4,999. And again, your fleets are 100 to 349, and everything in between. So that's a lot of radio IDs. I doubt you'll be going over that, but anyways, go ahead and figure out how you want to separate yours. The way I'm going to separate mine is I'm just going to pick a number here. I'm going to pick 333, and then my actual radio ID. So my fleet is going to be 333, but my radio is going to be 4444. Okay, so let me go over this one right here. So this the Fleetsync baud rate, I believe, don't quote me on this, If you have it at 1200, it's if you have a weaker signal, it's going to send it slower, so it's going to read it better. You can increase it to 2400. The thing is you have to make sure that they're both on the same thing. You can't have one on 2400 and one on 1200. You can run into issues, so I'm just going to leave it defaulted. It was at 1200. I'm going to leave it at 1200, and I've never had an issue, so we're going to do that. So forget this stuff here. We're not going to be using this. You can keep this manual dial checked. That's fine. Special status, we'll cover that one later. Interfleet call, you want to keep that one checked. The call alert is continuous. Don't worry about that. Don't check that. That can get annoying. So your press to talk ID side tone. This is so that when the radio is sending the data, the Fleetsync data identifying the radio, it will make a tone, or like it kind of chirps. And that when it's done chirping, that's when you can then talk. Okay? If that makes any sense. So if you uncheck that, you're not going to know when the radio is IDing or when the radio is done IDing. You're just going to have to kind of guess. It's not like it's a long process, but I usually keep it on. But again, preference, keys to the wood chop. Okay, so now we're going to come up here to these parameters. What parameters are is these are different settings for example, this one right here, this GTC count. This is if you are setting up, like for example, let's say our 4625625 is a data only frequency. So let's say your normal two-way radio traffic is on one frequency, but your data is always sent on another frequency. What this does is it will tell all the other radios to switch over to that other frequency for the duration of till the data is sent out, and then the radio will go back to receiving on the other channel, if that makes sense. Hopefully I explained that to where you can understand it. So hypothetically saying we had two frequencies in here, if we checked the one frequency as a data frequency, when you would transmit data on channel 1, it would actually tell all the other radios, hey, I'm going to send data out on channel 2, go to channel 2 so you can receive the data. And then once it receives the data, the radios will then go back to channel 1. What this is how many times it'll send that request for the radios to switch to channel 2. You can increase this, you can decrease this, okay? Number of retries is how many times will it send a message and not get a response. So let's say you send the message out and the other radio that you send it to doesn't respond. How many times do you want it to keep trying this? That's what this one is. The transmit busy signal wait time. This is if, let's say, you go and send data, but there's already traffic on that frequency. How long do you want it to wait for the channel to be clear before it sends the data? Basically, it won't key up over another one. It's kind of like the busy channel lockout on some radios. This is like that same thing. So in this case, this one's defaulted to set it to for 10 seconds. This is the maximum acknowledge wait time. So what that is how basically when you send data, the other radios will acknowledge that they received that data. It's usually instantaneous, but in this case, how long do you want your radio to wait for that acknowledgement? These are the delay times. This is you're transmitting, so you got to wait for the radio to get done transmitting and then flip back to the receive channel. So usually a half a second is good enough. If you're having other issues, then these are things that you want to change. The TX delay time, RX capture. So what that is if you guys have a repeater, and it may not be the repeater like I showed you the build, maybe you have a different repeater, and it's a little bit slow. You don't want the data being transmitted and then the repeater opens up and you miss half of the data. So this is where you could delay that. Also, if let's say you have radios that are on scan, right? You're gonna have to capture that receive during the scan process before it sends the data. So this is where you can toggle that so that when you say, hey, send data, it doesn't just instantaneously send the data. It waits to capture the receive of the transmitter, a repeater. It waits for the repeater to transmit, you know, to repeat, and then it waits for the other radio's receives to turn on. You know, like I said, maybe you got a radio and scan. Maybe you got some handhelds out there that have the battery saver on, and they, you know, they are on like a 3-to-1 or something, where it waits for 3 seconds and then turns on for 1 second. This is where you'd want to change this. This is what that does. The random access contention. So what that is if you're on a real busy repeater, this is basically tells it to wait to send it. This is where you're gonna not send it right away. So this one kind of works with this busy wait time. So again, it's random access. This won't transmit if something else is already taking that channel, and then how long do you want it to wait? And this is 10 seconds. So these two kind of work together to give you an idea. So this is about all we're gonna cover in this, as far as this end goes. We'll get into these other tabs a little bit later as we move along here. But so we got our frequency in there. So now what we got to do is we got to tell it to actually identify. So we're going to go up here to edit, and we're going to go optional features. Make sure off-hook decode is checked. So, okay, we're not going to change any of this stuff. We're just going to go to optional features too. And again, this is this software. So your software, if you're running another radio, this stuff is in there. It just may not be exactly where I'm telling you. So you may have to kind of hunt around for it, but you will see something that looks similar to this. So this is your press to talk ID. So defaulted, it's DTMF. We're not doing that. We're going to do Fleetsync. So we're going to change this from DTMF here to Fleetsync. And then this is, when do you want it to ID? Do you want it to ID after the transmission, at the beginning of transmission, or both? So BOT is beginning of transmission, and this is EOT, which is end of transmission. So depending on when you want your IDer to send the data, as far as what radio it is it's keying up, this is where you would choose that. You can also, again, if you have a slow repeater, or you know, you're waiting for stuff to actually, for whatever reason, it isn't receiving the capture, instead of adjusting that timing, you can literally just put it for end of transmission, and then that you're talking, right? That's going to capture the receive, but then when you unkey the mic, that's when it's going to ID. So you can kind of solve that problem with that way too. So this is, again, whatever you want to do with it is up to you. I'm going to put it as beginning of transmission. I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of talking on the radio for this stuff. So if you got all that, we're then going to go back to our channel here, which is right now we have it on FRS1. It's 4625625. And we're going to go down here to channel edit. And when we click channel edit, right over here where it says press to talk ID, you're going to put that on own, because again, we're going to be IDing what we just programmed in this radio, which is I don't even remember, Fleet 3000 or something like that. So that's it. Once you got that set up, you go ahead and pull this back so you can see the other one there. Our little, yeah, probably plug it in, that would help, huh? See, this is geniuses at work here. So there's our unprogrammed radio that we're going to write data to radio. It's probably gonna give me an error message because this was a fleet synced radio, and yep, there it is, model's wrong. That's okay, we're gonna make it right. So programming it, and we should see testing. Okay, there you go. So this one now has the testing frequency in it. So now what's going to happen is that is on a dummy load. Okay, let me find a microphone. I think I would have thought of this before I started this, but you know, if it wasn't for me being the only man in the room, I guess I couldn't consider myself the smartest one. So what's this here? Here's an old school. Wow, this thing's like from like 1970. I think this was used in that movie with Smokey Robinson and the Bandits here. Okay, so we got this microphone here. So now when I key up, what it's going to do is it's going to give me like a little, kind of like a little chirp. That's telling you that you can talk after that. Now what it's actually doing is it's sending that Fleetsync code that we put in there, and 333 and then 4 4s. So let me just, here, I know what we'll do. I know how we'll do this. This is another TK880. Probably familiar with it because it looks just like the other one. And we'll go that. And we'll do this. And yes, it is unprogrammed. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just write the same thing from the software here, exactly the same. I'm going to write it to this this new radio. And you know what? I forgot a very important part here. So Fleetsync, this here, caller ID display. I forgot to go over this with you. I'm so sorry. You want to check caller ID display unless you don't want the radio to show you who's calling. So if you have certain radios that are supposed to ID, if you want that radio to show the radio's ID, you have to hit the caller ID display. So let me just go ahead and write the caller ID display to our first radio that we programmed. And I'm going to write, well, you know what? We're going to pretend that we're doing another radio here. So what I'm going to now do is, because we have this radio here, it's ID'd as 333444. I'm going to make this radio 333443. So now I'm giving this second radio here a different ID. So let's write data to radio. Yeah, it's wrong. It's always wrong. All right. So, all right. Now, let me just unplug this. I'll plug this one in down here. And there's tons of cords here. Apologize for that. I'm going to grab another microphone here, and we're going to plug this microphone in the top radio just so we can talk back and forth. So what's going to happen is, when the fancy mic with all the numbers on it, when I press the keep press talk on this one is going to ID to this radio, because this radio is going to receive, and vice versa. When I press the Burt Reynolds microphone, it's going to ID on this radio. Okay, what is it going to ID? Well, it's going to ID what I put in there. So one of them is going to say 3334443, and the other one's going to say 3334444. So here we go. Ready, set, and so here you go. You got 333443. Key up the other one here, and then 333444. So we've just identified these two radios separately. Okay, now you're probably going, whoop-de-doo. What does it mean? What does 333444 mean? And unless you have like a cheat sheet, depending on how many IDs you have, it really doesn't mean anything. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get into some other stuff here. So go back in here to Fleetsync and plug my mics here so we can get our programming cable going again. Find that wire because I got enough wires here. So, okay. So now, if we go here to ID list, okay, so we know we have Fleet 333, okay, and then we have the ID. So this ID is, now let me explain this to you. It goes to all. Now what all does is, because you own, now remember how many times we could put, like, you know, we had from 349, 100 to 349 for Fleet. Well, and you know, had all those IDs, right? Well, you only have 100. So there's 100 in here. And obviously there's a lot more than 100 of the other ones. So if you're a school bus company running 200 buses, you can't ID every single bus, because you're going to run out of things in here. So what all does is all, you'd put like school bus. So anything that keys up with a Fleet ID of 333, your screen is going to say school bus. Get it? All right. So in this case, because we only have two radios, and both of them are Fleet 333. This one is going to be 4444, and we're going to name it. So we're going to say that this is Jay's radio. Okay, so Fleet or 4444 Fleet 333 is going to be Jay's radio, and then our other one is 333, and then 44. Oh yeah, how you doing? 4443. This is going to be Jen's radio. Yes, I didn't capitalize Jen. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just take this and let me just go up here to Fleetsync real fast and figure out what we're in here. Oh yeah, we're already in Fleetsync. Oh jeez, I need a Red Bull. Okay, so this is 443. So this is going to be the lower to upper radio, sorry. So I'm going to make this one here. So again, we got our ID list. We're going to program, we're going to write to radio, and we're going to write these Jen and Jay's radio together. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to flip this. Now we have to go up here again. Did it again. We're going to go to Fleetsync, and we're going to change this one back to the 4, because now we're going to write to radio 4. The radio that we're IDing is 4, and we're going to put, again, the same ID list in radio 4. We're just making sure that we discriminate radio from radio. So fantastic. Alrighty. So here we have the two radios. Both of them say testing. And let me get rid of this wire. Plug in this wire and this wire. And now when we transmit, instead of getting some random serial number, we're gonna get Jen's radio. And then when Jen transmits, or when the other, whatever the other one was, transmits, it says Jay's radio. So you can see how this works. Okay? You get it? All right. Now, I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. I had a great idea, and one of them was to get some caffeine so that my brain can start to function again. And the other one was, let's throw a third radio into the mix here. So what I did while you were away is I programmed this radio. And again, it's a handheld. It's not even the same series. This is a 3140. And again, these are 880s, so this one's obviously a lot higher on the food chain. And what I did was I gave it a different ID. So this ID is actually 200 2000. I then went in to these to the TK880s, and I told them about the 200 2000 and to identify it as Lisa. So now you can see what, you know, you can kind of imagine now, just instead of having two radios, you have three radios or 1,000 radios. What happens when somebody keys up what all the other radios see? So I'm going to key this up, and if you look right here, we get on the ID, we get Lisa, right? And then I did the same thing on this particular, did I? Okay, good. I programmed the button for a light. Okay, so now I'm going to press this, and I want my light. Okay, so there's Jay's radio, and oh boy, Jen's radio. The lights turn on here. I don't know how to get the light on. There it is. Jen's radio. Okay, so again, these are older. This one's newer. We can even take like, let's go crazy here. Here's a. This is a one of the newer ones. It's a Next Edge. It's a digital radio. Apologize, I'm running out of power supplies here. Let me just pop this one on here, and we'll go with that one's not plugged in anymore. This one. So now when I press this, it's going to ID. Obviously, it's just going to ID the number because I didn't program whose radio it was into this radio, but you still get the idea that even the older radios can talk to the new digital ones doing this. So it doesn't really matter what radio you get. It's still able to talk to them. So don't think you have too new or too old of radios. They all kind of do this kind of thing. So all right, we'll go back into these ones here. So one of the things I wanted to show you with this being able to ID and stuff is go back to our software here. So we're going to go basically to the next tab in Fleetsync. That next tab is, of course, status list. So what the status list does is you can send statuses. So all right, so by sending statuses, what this is you can actually give the radios specific status messages, if you will. So we're going to start with you got to start with 10. So status 10 is going to be, we'll put OK. Status 11 we'll put as yes. Status 12, I guess we got to give it a no, right? We have a yes, we got to have a no. 13 is I'm here. Feel free to capitalize this if you are that anal about that kind of stuff. Maybe 14 is going to be headed to work. 15 is headed home. 16 is, oh man, I got to go pee. And yeah, I can't think of any more. Maybe you guys can, but all right, I'm out. So okay, there's our status. I like the last one the best. All right, so let's go ahead and plug in our cable here, and just real quick, what we're going to have to do for this is not only do we have to make status messages, but we're going to have to program a key here too. We're going to have to tell it. So we have an A button on here. Let's do A button. So this is called a selective calling. So we're going to hit the A button here. And again, you can make it any button you want. It doesn't necessarily have to be the A button, but in my case, it's going to be the A button. And you're going to see something in here that says, let's see here. Let's try message mode. We'll shoot for that one. Okay, so this is going to be, I don't even know what radio this is. We'll just program this one to the radio. So we'll write this to our TK880 over here. Which one's it going to go to? It's going to go, okay, so it's going to go to the bottom one, and we're probably going to screw up the 444 and the 443, but hey, nobody's perfect. So we just got to make sure that we can come up here and we change the other one to another ID. So that a lower one, I did it again, it's right here. So that lower one we did is 443, so this one we're going to do is 444. And we're going to close. And we're going to write this to radio. So now we're programming the top radio. All right, so now if we hit this, see we get Jay's radio. Oh, we got Jen's radio, and we got Lisa's radio, right? So we can choose, plug a mic in here so we can actually do this. So we can choose which radio we want to send the message to. So we're gonna go to okay, the bottom one is 444. I don't remember which one I programmed as 444. I don't know Jen's radio from Jay's radio. I know Lisa's radio because it's a handheld. So just can sort my ID list here real fast. Okay, so this one is the 444 radio, which is Jay's radio. So we want to send a message to Jay. So let me just get out of this real fast and I kind of went through it fast. Show you how I did this. Oh man, yeah, and all else fails, right? Okay, so because we programmed this as message mode, we're going to press this. It's going to put us into message mode. We press it again, we get those messages. So we want to tell Jay that you use these messages to move back and forth, that I gotta go pee. So to send this message, we just hit the press to talk. Okay, so just a little closer so we can see it. So what's gonna happen is when I press this, this radio is going to say sending. It is then going to send it to this radio. This radio will say receiving. And then once this radio gets done receiving, it will basically send a 10-4 back to this radio, and then this radio will say complete. So let's do that. Ready? Okay, so something's not working. So it said no reply. So this radio didn't reply. And I bet you that's because it wasn't Jay's radio that I was sending it to. So let's do that again here. And we'll send it to Jen's radio. I gotta pee, and there it is. See, complete. So now Jay's radio I got to pee. I just had my radios confused, like I said. It shows a little picture of an envelope up here, letting you know that it's a text message, and it's new, and that's what it does. So now Jay here, Jay's like, oh, okay. So now Jay's gonna respond to Jen, and he's gonna just hit the A button. And he's gonna tell, was it Jen? No, Jay. Maybe it's Jen. I don't know. That's coming up. So I think. So, anyways, let's try it. We'll try Jay. I don't remember what radio is what. So, okay. So ready? I'm gonna send to okay. Complete, and then Jen's radio sends okay. See how that worked? So we just communicated back and forth with these radios using a kind of a pre-thing text message. Now, if people are like, wondering how secure this is. So what this radio is actually sending is just that number, that status of 10, 16, 15. So all it's doing is it's sending the ID, which is the 333, 4444 or 4443, sending that out. Then it's sending a 10, an 8, 11, whatever the thing is that you sent. And then it's up to the radio to decode what that is. So if somebody intercepts your messages, they're going to get a bunch of numbers. They're not actually going to know what the message was, unless they steal your radio, which you can password protect that in this optional features here. You can is it in somewhere in here, I believe? Maybe it's not optional features. It'll say right here, data password. Sorry, it is an optional feature. So data password. You put a password in there, and if somebody tries to read the radio to get your information out of it, they're going to get hit with a password. So. You can kind of secure your stuff, but that is called selective calling and selective messaging. We sent a message to a specific radio. Not all radios got it. This one here did not get it. Okay. I'm tired, and that's about all I can show you at this point. All right, guys. So yeah, keep the comments coming if you have any questions. If there's something that you want me to do that I haven't done here, again, this is just the TK880s. There's more features. Like if you start getting into the digital stuff, the digital side, like that other one that I showed you, that NX radio, you can actually do over-the-air programming. And that sounds really cheesy, so we just like to call it OTAP, because you can OTAP a radio. See, it sounds a lot cooler to say OTAP. So yeah, if you want to OTAP a radio, that's how you do it. Is you'd ID the radio, and you'd send it to the specific radio, whatever upgrade you're making to it or programming you're making to it. You can also remotely stun these radios. You can remotely turn the transmit off. So if you do have like a handheld radio that gets misplaced or stolen or otherwise becomes compromised, you can actually ID the radio and you can stun it, and that person won't be able to use that radio anymore on your channel for sending and receiving. And you can also If you put your repeater that way, that's a way that you can remotely disable your repeater temporarily. You would then just go back in and you know, tell it to turn back on. There's those status codes, so status code 10, 11, 12, I believe they're in the 80s. I think like 80, 81, 82. Those status codes are pre-built into the radios to send stun codes. And if you want more information on that, we can definitely go over that. That's not a problem. But yeah, whatever you guys need. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give you some more ideas and things that you can do with your old radio and integrate it with your newer radios and the real new radios. Yeah, have fun radioing.